I read some pretty amazing books this year in 2024, 256 to be exact. Now, even with all of those books, I was not able to read everything I wanted to read. So, I'm going to share with you the books that I was not able to finish. And I'm hoping if you could tell me whether or not they're going to be worth picking up in 2025. My name is Raquel. Welcome and welcome back. So, some of these books I've started, some of them I picked up and put down, some of them I did not start, some of them I had in my Libby library and never got around to it. I added six of the books that I really wanted to read, and I need help. I don't know if they're worth picking up or not. So if you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them in the comments. So the first book I did not get a chance to read is Swift River by S.E. Chambers. And so Swift Rivers came out in 2024. I did read, I want to say, about two chapters of the book. It didn't like grab me right off the way I like a book to do, in order for me to really just get invested in the book. And so that is likely why I did not finish the book. The thing is, I do want to read it. I'm going to read the synopsis. The synopsis sounds really good to me. It says, it's the summer of 1987 in Swift River, and Diamond Newberry is learning how to drive. Ever since her pop disappeared 7 years ago, she and her mother hitchhiked everywhere they go. But that's not the only reason Diamond stands out. She's teased relentlessly about her weight, and since her pop is gone, she's really the only black person in Swift River. This summer, Ma is determined to declare Pops legally dead so that they can collect his life insurance money, get their house back from the bank, and finally move on. But when Diamond receives a letter from a relative she's never met, key elements of Pop life are uncovered, and she is introduced to two generations of African American Newberry women whose lives span 20th century and reveal a much larger picture of prejudice and abandonment, of love and devotion. As pieces of their shared past become clear, Diamond gains a sense of her place in the world and her family. But how will what she's learned in the past change her future? A story of friendship, secrets, and finding the courage to let go. Swift River is a sensational debut about how history shapes us and heralds the arrival of a major new literary talent. So it sounds good, but like I said, it's coming along super slow. I have not picked it up in a little while. I've probably had it in my Libby library um, a couple months ago. And I haven't went back to try it again, but I do want to read this. It sounds really good to me. And then book number two, it is called Hours by Philip B. Williams. This book has magic in it. It has a conjure woman. It is about this conjure woman, and I think I saw a video or I read somewhere that a conjure woman is kind of just really a medicine woman, somebody who uses um, the earth and trees like natural remedies. But when you say conjure woman, it kind of reminds me of um, maybe like witch or voodoo or something, which I don't know anything about. So I'm not trying to offend anybody, but just don't have any knowledge of it basically. And so magic and conjuring and that kind of stuff is just really not something that I do. But this one sounds good. Let me read it to you. It says, in this ingenious, sweeping novel, Philip B. Williams introduces us to an enigmatic woman named Saint, a fearsome conjure woman who, in the 1830s, annihilates plantations over Arkansas to rescue the enslaved people there. The things that she I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on. She brings those she has freed to a haven of her own creation, a town just north of St. Louis, magically concealed from outsiders named Ours. It is in the miraculous place that Saint's grand experiment, a truly secluded community where her people may flourish, take root. But although Saint does her best to protect the inhabitants of Ours, over time, her conjuring and memories are beginning to betray her, leaving the town vulnerable to intrusions of newcomers with powers of their own. As she as the cracks in Saint's creation are exposed, some begin to wonder whether the community's safety might be yet another form of bondage. Set over the course of 4 decades and steeped in rich tradition of American literature, informed by a Black surrealism, mythology, and spirituality. Ours is a stunning exploration of the possibilities and limitations of love and freedom by a writer of capious visions and talent. So that actually sounds good. It sounds like, to me, she has built this sort of magical world where she goes and she frees enslaved people, and they can come and live there and be free. And so that sounds really good to me. The thing is, I think that magic and conjuring scares me just a bit. I have had it in my cart, and this is one of those books I just actually never did open. Um, but I am curious, very curious. I want to know if this is a good book because it definitely sounds like one. And then we have Devil is Fine by John Vercher. This came out in June 24. I put this on one of my TBR lists and I forgot it was there. I literally forgot it was there. I did not see it until I started to make this video. So the only reason why I probably have not read this book is just because I forgot it. I have several different TBRs, whether it is written down just on a scrap piece of paper in one of my books, in my Libby library. Yeah, my TBR list is a mess. And this one was on just written out somewhere, and I ran across it and I was like, oh wow, okay. But so for this one, it says, still reeling from sudden tragedy, our biracial narrator receives a letter from an attorney. He has just inherited a plot of land from his estranged white grandfather. He travels to a beach town several hours south from his home with the intention of selling the land immediately and moving on. But upon inspection, what lies beneath the dirt is far more complicated than he ever imagined. In a shocking irony, he is now a black owner of a former plantation passed down by the men in his white mother's side of the family. Virtue definitely blurs the lines between real and imagined, past and present, tragedy and humor, and fathers and sons in this story of discovering and reclaiming a painful past. With the wit and rawness of Paul Beatty's The Sellout, Devil is Fine is gripping, surreal, and brilliantly crafted, dissected in the legacies we leave behind and those we inherit. I want to know, what is he going to do with the plantation? Is he going to live on it? Is he going to sell it? Is he going to turn it into a hotel? I don't know. But I'm curious, and I um, am curious to see how far back does it go, because it says that grandfathers, plural. So it came from his grandfather. And so I'm just curious to know, why did they give the plantation to the biracial son? Do they not have any other people to give it to? Did he have some sort of special relationship with his father? Like, I don't know. I'm, just curious to find out what's happening here, because well, I'm not going to say I wouldn't want a plantation. I would prefer not to have a plantation. But if somebody was giving me a plantation, I doubt if I'd turn it down. I would imagine I'd sell it. I would not want to live there. I don't know that I would want anything to do with it. Let's see. Would I want? What I don't think I would want to do any. Okay, so I read this book called When the Reckoning Comes, right? And so I don't know, because after reading that book, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, no, I don't want anything to do with the plantation. Now, mm, if I had thought of this question before reading that book, I don't know, maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. So if you have not read The Reckoning, good book. Good book. But in the book, what happens is there is a plantation, and the plantation owners does something super terrible, which of course they all did, to the enslaved people that were there, right? So as time goes by, it is old and dilapidated and vacant. As time goes by, they turn it into a hotel. So now the souls of the people who were mistreated many years ago come to haunt the people, the ancestors of the people at this particular wedding. So there's a wedding on the plantation, and the souls come to haunt them, not just to haunt them, but to kill them. So people are dying, um, and now they're coming at this wedding, and all of these people, the ancestors of the people who hurt the enslaved people, they're all going to be in one place, which is at this uh, hotel that used to be a plantation, and they're going to kill them all. Like, they are going to kill them all. And so I said that to say, no, I don't think I would want a plantation. And that is just a testament to tell you how scary I am. I do not like that kind of stuff. In The Reckoning was my first kind of horror book, I guess you could say. It was really, really good. But even like right now, reading that book is weighing in on a question that I'm asking myself, like, would I want the plantation if somebody was to give it to me? So yeah, I don't know about all that. Maybe I'd sell it. Maybe I'd tear it down and sell the land. I don't think I would want anything to do with a plantation at all. And then we have A League of Her Own by Kaya Anderson. And so this one is about a black lady who owned a Negro League baseball team back in 1930. She is married to a um, well-to-do man. He buys a Negro League team. She becomes the business manager for that team, and I believe also the treasurer. I've seen a interview with the author about this book. The author says that she herself is a big baseball fan. But she just talked about her ideas around writing the book, and some of the information that she found out about the person, what's her name? Addie Manley, who is an actual person. So it's historical fiction based around a real person, and that real person is, I'm sorry, her name is Effa Manley. And so this is also the author who wrote Sisters at Arms. And that was another book that I really, really wanted to read. I haven't gotten around to it yet. Um, Maybe I'll read that in 2025. I don't know. But yeah, I thought this one was super interesting. I'm going to go ahead and read the synopsis because I don't think I did any justice on what it's about, especially since I've never read it. It says 1930s New York City, an ambitious Harlem woman's husband, an ambition, mm, an ambitious Harlem woman's husband upends her social climbing when he buys a Negro League baseball team and appoints her as the team's business manager. Overnight, Effa Manley goes from 125th Street civil rights champion to an interloper in a boys' club that is professional baseball, navigating her way through gentlemen's agreement contracts, the very public flirtatious antics of superstar Satchel Paige, and a sports world that would much rather see this woman back in her place at home. Effa ultimately whips her team, the New York Eagles, into the Negro League's champions of 1946. But how long will she get to enjoy the fruits of her success before Major League Baseball tears it apart? So this sounds super interesting to me. Like, we're talking about 1930s. Her, well, it's her husband's team, but even for her to be the business manager for his team is a huge deal. If you consider that, I don't think women were allowed, I mean, women in general, not black women, but women in general, were not allowed to have a bank account until like 1970, 1971, something like that. And so this is like a really big deal, and the fact that she is a real person. So this is super interesting to me. I do want to read it. I'm not into baseball. Have never really watched baseball. Um, I kind of know the basics of the game: hit the ball, run, make a home run, or that. But other than that, I know nothing about baseball. So that may lean into a little bit about why I hadn't picked it up, or just maybe I didn't get to it just because I have, so many things that I'm reading. We have All We Were Promised by Ashton Lattimore. This came out in April 2024. And I really don't know anything about this book. I did open it up and I started the first chapter. This too did not grab me the way that I wished it had. But I still do have a desire to read it. I'm going to go ahead and read the synopsis for this. It says Philadelphia, 1837. After Charlotte escapes from the crumbling White Oaks plantation down south, she'd expected freedom to feel different from her former home as an enslaved maid. After all, Philadelphia is supposed to be the birthplace of American liberty. Instead, she's locked away playing servant to her white passing father as they both attempt to hide their identities from slave catchers who would destroy their new lives. Longing to break away, Charlotte befriends Nell, a budding abolitionist from one of Philadelphia's wealthy black families. Just as Charlotte starts to envision a future, a familiar face from her past appears. Evie, her friend from White Oaks, has been brought to the city by the plantation mistress, and she's desperate to escape. But as Charlotte and Nell conspire to rescue her in a city engulfed by race riots and attacks on abolitionists, they soon discover that fighting for Evie's freedom may cost them their own. And I find this interesting. Like I said, I did read, like, I want to say the first chapter or the first 2 chapters or something like that. It didn't really catch me the first time, but the second time I opened it, I was in a different space. I kind of listened to it a little more, and eh, I at least I know what's going on. That's what I could say. Because the first time, like it was, they were like, wah, 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 wah. I literally could not take it in, and so this time, I do understand what's happening, and I am at a part wherever it is in the book, which is in the very beginning. I'm at a part where she is going to this neighborhood. She is talking to this woman, and the woman that it seems like she's gone to a town where the people are free, and she's talking to this woman, and the woman, and she's trying not to let on that she has run away, but there is something about her that lets the woman know, that she has ran away. And so the woman helps her out, gives her some clothes, and, helps her to kind of fit in, and points her in the direction that she needs to go, because she actually knows somebody there. And so she is going to go stay with them. And that is pretty much where I stopped at. And that is basically some of what I read here. I just have a better vision of it here because I read that 1 or 2 chapters that I read. So it starts out okay, but it doesn't really, really grab my attention. It doesn't, it just doesn't really grab my attention and make me say, oh, I'm gonna, I'm about to read this book. And yeah, that doesn't happen, unfortunately. The Davenports. So, I wanted to read the Davenports when the first one came out. Somehow it kind of just slipped by me, and I didn't see it anymore. I don't know. I don't know that I even wrote that on a TBR. I just remember thinking that the cover was really pretty. Um, if I could wear those dresses that they wear back in the early 1900s today, I would. I think they are so beautiful. They are so girly and just so feminine. And they have the little umbrellas, which they call parasols, and the bustiers. And I love all of that stuff. And the thing that I thought was great. Okay, so let me say this. I am currently reading the first Davenports, which I think came out, I don't know, maybe a year or two before. So the one that came out this year, I want to read one before I read two. So I'm definitely going to read two. So the Davenports, I like that they are a um, a well-to-do family. I enjoy that because a lot of the books don't necessarily show us in that light. In addition to, when the book first starts out, she is in a dress shop, and the lady who is the, I don't know what she's called back then. Right now, she would be called a cashier. But so the cashier is like, oh, um she's like, I want this and that or whatever. And the cashier's like, that stuff costs a lot of money, what you're ordering. And she's like, yeah. And that's because I like nice things. So she had what my grandmother would call a nice nasty attitude, where be they can talk down to you and with a smile on their face, and not be disrespectful, but give you a little 1-2. And so I really like that about this. I enjoy the description in this particular book, and that is because I like the things of that time, like the physical things, the material things. I enjoy the fireplaces. I'd go hunting if I could, but I live in the city, so we don't hunt. We just go to the grocery store. Like all of that stuff, like I find it super interesting. I enjoy it. I am there. I am in the book. I am doing those things. I love it. And so this particular book slid by me somehow, and then I ran across part two. And I don't want to read part two without reading part one, so I started on part one. But so far so good. It did catch my attention because, like I said, when it first starts off, she is given this cashier shop lady or whatever it is she's called. She's giving her the business with a smile on her face, and I enjoyed that. Like, that's what I need. I need something to happen that makes me interested in the story, and I need it to happen immediately, not two, three, five chapters in. Like, I might get lost because I never stop looking for books. Even in the midst of reading the Davenports, I'm also reading a couple other books, and I am still always looking for more books. Five books that I was not able to get to this year. I am wondering if they are worth actually going ahead to read. That was Swift River by Essie Chambers, Hours by Philip B. Williams, Devil is Fine by John Vercher, A League of Her Own by Kaya Alderson, All We Were Promised by Ashton Lattimore. So those are the books that I want to know if you guys think it's worth any of these books worth picking up in 2025. But if they're just not like really good, I mean, at least a 4 star if they're not a 5 star. Like, I don't want to read a 3 star book. Not really. Like, I not really. I would prefer that they were all 5 stars, but I mean, I know that that's not, reasonable. I hope you enjoyed the video and my little rant. Until next time, see you soon.